Cleo. Catch it first on Patreon. Hello everybody! Today I thought I would show you how you can make digital letters out of any kind of fabric or natural material that you'd like. You'll just need a drawing software, Canva, and your chosen material. Today I'm going to use this cute fabric, and because it's kind of see-through, I'm just putting a piece of printer paper behind it so that I can take my pictures. And then you're basically just going to play around with scrunching your fabric or your textures until you're happy with it, and then you'll take a picture and you'll import it into your drawing software. As usual, I'm going to use Procreate. You can draw out your letters, or if there's a specific font that you really like, you can also just use the font. Basically, we're making a stencil that we're going to overlay on a picture of our fabric. I drew my letters to sort of look like they were cut with squiggly fabric scissors. So I'm just lowering its opacity slightly, and in whatever drawing software you're in, like I said, you're gonna overlay your stencil, and I like to sort of like play around with rotating it so that I can get all the little folds and natural shadows that already exist in my scrunched fabric. And now using an eraser, as you can imagine, you're basically just gonna erase around the perimeter of whatever letter you're working on. So once you have your shape cut out, you'll notice that mine actually has two little sketched in borders. I've gone ahead and made a brush in Procreate that is supposed to mimic stitching because, like I said, I want these letters to look like they're cut with fabric scissors, but that they've sort of been like stitched and quilted. So I'm gonna be linking the brush below. This month is a bit of a twofer. You guys are getting access every tier on Patreon to the full alphabet of these plus the stitching brush if you want to make your own. So as I said, I'm just gonna go around the perimeter and give the intended effect of stitching. As usual, you'll be able to download the free stitching brush via the free tier of Patreon or on my website under the downloadables tab. To kind of connect the corners, I'm just taking the regular technical pen at a relatively small thinness, and I'm just sort of filling in the gaps. And I find that adding a couple random little stitches really helps to give the overall quilting effect. The last thing I did to make my letters feel more three-dimensional was that I just traced in a layer behind the shape, used my fill tool, and then I blurred that to 4%. To make your life even easier, you can literally just make a duplicate layer of your shape, and then again, use your fill tool and then just put your Gaussian blur to 4%, and it'll make it look like there's a bit of like a background shadow, and it'll help to give your letters a little bit more of a 3D pop if you're wanting them to look three-dimensional. I'm happy with my letter, so now we're just gonna turn off our background and we will export this as a transparent PNG. So you'll want to repeat the steps with all of your letters, and I do recommend exporting them as individual PNGs because it's going to be a lot clearer when you upload them to Canva, and especially if you're making a design that you want other people to be able to access and have it be an HD, clear, good quality image. You're going to want to have them individually saved as opposed to grouping them in your software and then exporting a smaller file. So, like I said, to simplify all of that, we're basically just going to repeat all of the steps that we did for our A, and we're going to export every letter of our alphabet. So once we have all our letters, we'll return to Canva. We're gonna hit the New Projects tab, and usually I just go to Custom Size and then I input the pixels for my MacBook. So with my new canvas, we're gonna head over to the Uploads tab. And as you can see, I've already uploaded my letters, but if you click Upload File, you can then go through your download. So I basically just saved all my letters in one place, and then you'll just drag and drop them and they'll upload, and then they'll be forever available in your Uploads tab. So now they're selectable. I can select pretty much whatever I want from my uploads tab, and I can use these like regular Canva letter assets. They'll function as images, but I'm going to show you, as you can see, if you're sliding them onto a canvas, you can literally use them right away. This next thing I'm going to show you is a little bit more unique to people who want to share their lettering, but for personal use, you are now good to go. So let's worry about our vectors now. You're gonna head over to Photopea, which is a completely free to use software. I'm gonna link it in the description. And we'll just drag and drop, and we're gonna upload our letters. And again, you're doing this for each individual letter. So the first thing that we're gonna do is head to the top left. You're gonna see layer. And on our right, we have this little layer tab as well. In that layer tab, there's a picture, okay, of your letter. So you're gonna command click that picture of your letter. So by doing this in the history, you'll see you opened a file and you selected the pixels, and you know that you've selected them because you'll have the marching ants. So you'll have a little basically broken line all in the negative space and the border of your letter. Next up, next to your layers tab, on the right you have channels. And then you have paths. So we'll go on over to paths. Once you hit paths, you'll notice at the bottom there's a bunch of icons. And if you just mouse over the icons, you can read what each one of them do. So you'll want to migrate over to the little circle with 2 handles. And it's going to read selection to paths. You're going to click it. And you'll know you're in the right place because now your marching ant line will have turned blue. Also see in our history, we opened the file, we selected the pixels, and now we've done selection to paths. So the history tab is a great little tab if you want to make sure that you're doing your steps in order. Now remember when I showed you the layer tab above, we're going to return to the top left of our screen and we're going to select layer. And now in layer you have this wonderful little drop down menu. So we're going to scroll all the way down until we get to vector mask. So here's vector mask, and then vector mask in that menu, we're gonna hit current path. And that's basically gonna segregate your letter from the background, and this is gonna create a perfect vector clipping mask. So again, in the history, after selection to path, what did we do? We added our vector mask. So now this is a perfect vector. Now the way that you export this is important. So we'll go over to File and Export, and you're gonna see that there is an option for images, PSD files, and PDFs. It's gonna show you 2 different options for what kind of a PDF. It does not matter what kind of PDF you save this as, you just need to save it in the PDF format. So you'll export all of these wonderful little vectors as PDFs. So here's your export page. I'm just gonna rename my letter really quickly so that when I put it in the folder on my desktop, I don't get confused. And that's it. You now have a vector contained in a PDF. So again, if you're sharing these and you want people to take advantage of the unique shapes of your letters, you're gonna wanna give it to them as a vector. So we'll open Canva, we'll grab our PDF that we just made in Photopea, and we'll drag and drop it to the uploads, and it'll open us a nice custom canvas that we can now work with. So here's my PDF. I'm going to right click and click my letter, and I'm gonna get the Canva drop down menu, and we're gonna scroll all the way down until we get to detach image, and we're gonna hit detach image. And Canva is basically going to remove our top layer of pattern, and you are now left with a perfect shape. So each one of your letters now can be used by your audience. If we go into the little elements tab, you're not going to want to look at graphics, okay? We're going to want to look at photos. So I just put in polka dots, but basically anybody can drag any image, lay it over your vector, and then create their own letter using your letter shape. And you can also use this tip to remix your patterns. So let's say I want a different polka dot pattern. We'll do this like black and white. There's a blue gingham pattern. I can just reuse my vectors and put in whatever image I would like. So if you want to share your letters with other people, you'll head on over to the Share tab, and you'll see that there's a little button for Canva Pro users that says Template Link. You're going to hit it, and Canva is basically going to just generate you a link that you can share with anybody, and then they can access your canvas. So for this, I would recommend putting all of your letters into one canvas so people can grab them as they please. And then let's say you don't want to share your work anymore, you can hit Delete Template Link, and now your canvas is private again. As mentioned, you guys, the links to everything will be in the caption, but you can also head on over to my website, hit the downloadables tab, scroll down to the downloadables. I will leave the link to the letters in the paper craft template, and I will also leave the brush that I used for the stitching in the digital downloads tab. So once you open it up, you'll be able to view it just like this in Canva. And like I said, I'm plastering this link every which way. I hope you enjoyed this month's installment. It's a little free and paid Patreon Double Trouble special. Thank you, as usual, for watching the Mini Craft Theater, and let me know if you give this a try. Okay, I love you. Bye!